Let's start by reviewing the tool transfer workflow. At this point, you may wish to pause the video to study this in more detail. Tool transfer gives users the capability to transfer tools in the field without checking them back in. The tool could have a status of borrowed or loaned and be transferred by any employee or admin. However, it must be accepted by the opposite party. There's one exception to this, and that's virtual connections. Virtual connections can receive tools, or you can transfer tools to a virtual connection only if you're an administrator or if you have allowed an employee to transfer tools to a virtual. This is enabled in the settings on the web interface. Now let's take a look how this looks on the mobile devices. Here we have an Apple device on the left and an Android device on the right. We'll start off with Donald initiating both sides of a transaction, whether he has a tool and he wants to loan it to or transfer it to Hillary, or he goes in and requests a tool from Hillary, and then we'll look at it from Hillary's perspective. So let's say Hillary has searched for a tool and finds one that Donald is currently in possession of, let's say the 10-inch table saw with a fixed stand, and she calls up Donald and says, "Can I have that tool for a week? Or are you using it?" And Donald says, "It's available, it's just sitting in the back of my truck. I'll initiate a transfer to you." So on the iOS device, you would swipe left and he would hit transfer, and then he would choose which person's going to get it, and it would of course be Hillary. And he would put in here that she's going to get it for 1 week. He confirms it, and then it's going to pop up on Hillary's side and get her to acknowledge and accept that transfer. On the Android device, on a notification, you click it and it pops up with the options, and she's going to hit accept. Donald's going to receive a notification that Hillary accepted his request to transfer that, and he can hit dismiss. Now if he wants to initiate it from the other direction, and instead of Hillary calling him up and saying, "Do you have a tool that I can borrow?" he's going to see that Hillary has one, and he wants to borrow the 1.25 horsepower max torque compact router. And if we just click on that tool and hit the status tab, we can see that Hillary has that. So again, we're going to swipe to the left, hit transfer, and he might say that, "Yeah, I just need it for a week." Again, this is optional. Notice he did not have to select a connection then, because the system already knew that Hillary had it. So on Hillary's end, she's going to get a notification. Donald would like to transfer this to you. She's going to click it and hit accept or decline. And presumably they've already worked this out, so she's going to accept it. Now, if Hillary wanted to initiate a transaction, you pretty much saw how all this worked, but just to make sure it's clear, a couple of the UI differences. Hillary can actually do the exact same thing on her side. Say she gets a call from Donald and he wants to borrow the 1/2-inch high torque drill. Well, instead of swiping like Donald would swipe. On Hillary's side, she's going to long press, and it's going to pop up and say transfer to. So when she does that, she would select Donald, and she'll say he's going to get it for a week, confirm it, and then Donald's going to get a notification and dismiss this other one, and he's going to say accept, and that acknowledges the transfer. Now notice that when we do these workflow transactions, that we are storing transaction history. So any of these tools, we can go back to the detail and click on the history tab and see every time this exchanged hands. Now let's look at another option. To review, when Donald wanted to transfer a tool, he only saw other employee connections. Let's suppose Donald would like to transfer a tool to a virtual connection, like transfer to a job trailer or a repair bin or whatever you've set up as a virtual connection. We've got the web interface open and we can see that we've got 3 employees and we've got a whole bunch of virtual connections for different things. Tool loans, repairs, a gang box, just lots of ways you can use virtual connections. Definitely review the add connection video for the web interface to look at setting up that. One of the options for an employee is to allow tool transfer to a virtual connection. And so currently Donald is turned off. We're going to turn that on to allow that. Typically you don't want to let employees transfer tools to a virtual connection because that's an easy way to dump stuff without an acceptance on the other side, because obviously a virtual connection is not really there and there's no one to accept, so therefore if you can transfer to it, there's not a whole lot of accountability. So we've turned that on though now for Donald, so when Donald transfers something, now we get the virtual list. So maybe he wants to transfer that to the repair bin. So again, you can ignore the dates and a future release of the product. We're going to have a checkbox here where you can say no date. But we would hit confirm, and it would transfer that to a virtual, and there would be no acceptance there.